Good morning, Leo. Am I audible?
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I am good. Nice to see you.
So, same here. Pleasure's all mine.
Yeah. We are ready.
We can.
We are ready,
Yes, sir.
Leo. You can always start.
We can begin, sir. I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Do we have Harshita in? Harshita, start mado. We are waiting. Yeah. Yeah. Ato, you ratla na virtual background. Virtual background రాలే ఇందాక. Harshita, are you unmuted?
Hello. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, Harshita. Please go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Success will never lower its standard to accommodate us. We have to raise our standard to achieve it. A very good morning to all. This is Harshita from first year MBA, your host for the day. Our interesting speaker for the day, Mr. Leo Peter. Faculty and students, welcome to our third edition of Third Speaker Series. Today's focus is on mysterious and fantastic world of drones. Who better than our speaker, Mr. Leo Peter, who pursued his passion and took the uncharted path of aerospace and drone technologies. May I now call upon Preeti Anjana from 8th SEM ECE to introduce our speaker.
Yeah, good morning, one and all. Here's Preeti Anchana from EC Department, 8th SEM. Here's the brief introduction of our Industry Institute Interface Series speaker for today, Mr. Leo Peter and Marketing Director JMA Aerospace Private Limited. Mr. Leo is an avid aero modeler and a drone platform evangelist and aerospace engineering graduate from MVJ College of Engineering, Bangalore. He went on to be a serial entrepreneur with startup in IT, office retail, and UAV training. He has trained more than 5,000 students in aero modeling and 100 plus drone pilots. He served as a CEO of Garuda Aerospace, which went to on become India's largest drone company that was also unplanned by the National Disaster Response Force in Uttarakhand floods and NHAI of surveillance of national highways. Leo founded Jane Aerospace Private Limited in 2019 and immediately acquired partnership with EVA Germany and Vector 3D from Australia to bring cutting-edge technologies to India. He is working tirelessly to raise awareness, provide infrastructure, support skill aerospace workspace, and industry institute collaboration. With this very brief introduction, I present you and welcome our speaker of the day, Mr. Leo Peter Charles, and Managing Director, Jane Aerospace. Thank you.
Ms. Harshita, you're on mute.
Harshita, unmute yourself.
Thank you, Preeti.
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you.
Leo, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much for that, for the warm welcome and the warm introduction. I'm really happy to be here, to be talking to you about drones, one of the most passionate things in my life, which I've been pursuing now for more than a decade. It all started when I was in college, and then when I decided, okay, it's not enough to learn only about how aircrafts are built. It's important to build one as well. And as any aerospace company would undertake, building an aircraft at a 1:1 scale is very expensive, and then definitely during my college days I couldn't afford that. So what we did is we built a scale model. So I picked up my hobby and passion of aero modeling, where I built my first 7 feet wingspan model aircraft that could fly. I still have it at my office. So that's when it all started with unmanned aerial vehicles, and from then on, for the past, this happened way back in 2010 when I was in college. For the past 11 years now, I have been building, training, flying all over the country unmanned aerial vehicles. So we'll dive into the topic. It's a really interesting segment after drones in agriculture, the other industrial applications. These two seem to be on the top of the pyramid in terms of where drones will be used, and it's really exciting to know how it's transforming the way we look at both the agrarian industry as well as the non-agrarian industries. Next slide, please. Next slide. So we will look at what is drones, and then what are the different types, what's the industrial application of drones. And then I'll talk about my organization and the programs we run. So this should be about a 45-minute presentation. Don't worry, I will not bore you. There are a lot of videos for you to keep your vigil during the entire presentation, and then we will take questions in the end. Please note it down so that you will be able to ask it once the presentation is over. Also, I request all of you to mute your mics during the presentation so that I can continuously speak. Thank you so much. Next slide.
Can we have you a little louder, sir?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. So what really are drones? That's a very interesting question. Right? So our understanding is drones are basically something that flies, and then the word we would associate with is those drones or white objects that would be flying in marriages. Flying in marriages. So that's how it starts, and but there's a whole world out there. Now, drone is basically anything that's remotely controlled. It can be up in the air, the vehicle can be on ground, or it can be over water, or even a submersible. So all of these segments come under the broad classification of drones. So there are three components. One is the vehicle, second is the command and control link, and third is the ground control station along with the pilot. Now, we specialize in, or I specialize, or my company specializes in unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs as we call it. And I have had my tryst with UGVs and unmanned aquatic vehicles, including submersibles. But I've always been fascinated by the sky and being able to fly in it. And then drones is something that makes it possible on a day-to-day basis. And initially, drones started off in the military segment, and today the largest applications are commercial drones, and those numbers are mind-boggling. And we've seen them being used from photography to today being able to test atmospheric dynamics on another planet, and that's how far they have come. And I keep I have this one saying that drone application is limited by human imagination. Somebody imagined they could put a drone on Mars, and today we have sorties happening continuously on the Martian surface. So you can really imagine pretty much anything to go on a drone, and it most probably will. And technology upgrades so fast that it can happen within a very, very short span of time. So that being said, let's take a look at the different types of drones that are there. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. So these are broad classifications. There are multiple other variants as well, but then all of them majorly fall within these 6 categories. Initially, it did start off as an aerostat way back in later part of the 1800s, when Venice was trying to be bombed by the Austrian army. They loaded bombs into balloons, and then they tried to drop those bombs over Venice. So that's how it started. But then more dominance came with the fixed wing. It looks like a normal aeroplane. The advantage of a fixed wing is it has a longer endurance and range, so it can fly for a long time. But the disadvantage is you will need a clear runway to take off or land, or you will need to hand launch it or catapult launch it. So that's another headache it comes with. Then we saw the advent of the rotary wing drones. So here you see the single rotor heli. Heli is short for helicopter, so that's a heli drone. You can take off vertical and land vertical. You don't need a runway. That's one of the greater advantages. And you can have a larger payload. You can hover in the air, and you can maneuver really fast. So those are the different advantages of a single rotor. Then came the multi-rotor concept. The multi-rotor, having all the benefits of the VTOL, was more of a stable platform. And that way it did not, because the heli is a difficult platform to control. Multi-rotors are pretty much more stable when compared to the heli, and then can lift heavier payloads when compared to the size to payload ratio. And these three, the fixed wing, the single rotor heli, and the multi-rotors, became the primary form of drones that were being used. But now multi-rotors have their problem. They don't have long range, and then they have very short flying duration. This is because of the fact that it is only operating on thrust and not on the concept of lift, as you might understand, that is being generated over the wings of the fixed wing. Now, what happens if the motors of the multi-rotor stop? It will fall like a rock. What happens if the fixed wings motor stop? It still has the ability to glide through the air due to the momentum it already possesses. Now, because of that fact, trying to merge the benefits of both the fixed wing and the multi-rotor concept came the hybrid VTOL. What you see in the image is the hybrid VTOL manufactured by IdeaForge. It's called the Switch. And recently 100 drones of that has been ordered by the Indian Armed Forces. Now, what the hybrid VTOL does is it takes off vertically like a multi-rotor and then flies in like a fixed wing. So that way you get the advantage of vertical takeoff and landing, and then get the range and endurance of a fixed wing. So this is the most recent kind of drones that are being used for applications that have very small places to take off but need a long endurance and range. And the other interesting concept is this ornithopter. Ornithopter is basically a contraption that flies like a bird. Now, what you see here is an actual robot that can fly like a bird. You might have even seen this in the movie Uri, right? So that exists. That is not graphics or visual effects. It's actually a working mechanism. Now, this has a very interesting use case. So this is being used in the most in industrialized nations where even agriculture is in large scale industrialized. They use this bird instead of scarecrows to scare away the birds that might come and harm the crop. It's a more non-lethal way than trying to set up traps and all of that. And this is designed in the form of a peregrine falcon, that's a predator. So that way, most of the birds that come and eat grains and all of that are in the food chain, are when generally prey, right? So that way they get scared off. And this bird ornithopter has also been used at airports to scare away birds, so that you don't have bird strike. Bird strike is one of the major causes of engine failure and radar damage. So that way, you also have this being utilized at the Heathrow airport. And then you have aerostats. Aerostats are basically balloons that work on the concept of buoyancy. So you fill helium. Helium is lighter than the constituent air. So the balloon will rise up. So you need, let's say you need long duration of surveillance or video capture. Like let's say you have a one-day ODI that's happening, and then you need a balloon to capture an aerial view. Apart from drones doing the smaller shots, or it was earlier helicopters. Now helicopters don't work. That's a spectrum anymore. So also you can put a balloon on the border, and it can be up there for days together, and it can monitor. So these are the major types of drones or UAVs that are available. And I have worked with all the segments, so that's the most interesting part. And each one of it has its own beauty. Next slide, please. So industrial application of drones. Today, India is an industrialized nation, at least to the majority of its extent, even though 50% of the population is dependent on agrarian economy. But today, agriculture is also an industry. We don't practice old feudal methods of agriculture. We've modernized that space to a large extent, and that's why when we had this discussion in our organization, when I said agriculture might not come under an industry, and then somebody argued and said agriculture is an industry. We use mechanized tools and machinery for it. The market, how it operates with the market is different. And then today, more and more technology, including IoT and all of that, has come into agriculture, transforming it into a full-fledged industry. So we will be, and hence we will also consider agriculture as part of the industrial applications, that is, but then it's a whole spectrum of applications by itself. And today, with faster internet, better technology, battery technology, better sensors that are available, we are able to do multiple types of work. And this has predominantly changed the way safety management is done at industries. Initially, it was very expensive, time consuming. The plant had to be shut down for a really long amount of time, and then that was going to be very costly for a company. But then with drones, that is predominantly changing, and let's take a look at how that happens. Next slide. So we'll look at how drones are changing agriculture, civil engineering, mining, oil and gas, energy and utilities, and in logistics. So these are the sectors we will talk about today, and see how drones have truly transformed the way these industries operate. Next slide, please. So agriculture. Majorly everything was manual, and then tractors came, and then harvesters came, and today you seeing bulls being used to plow the field is a very rare phenomenon. And we have high power tractors and tillers, and all of that being fully mechanized. And Punjab is the very best example, where they use laser guiding technology to even level the field for paddy and wheat cultivation. So we've reached that space. Now, how has drones really transformed this space, and then how is it transforming here? It's very interesting to know Yamaha had the RMAX heli drone 20 years ago, where they started spraying the fields of Japan. Both with for pesticide, liquid fertilizers, as well as seed dispersing. So that's how early it started in the agriculture space. And today we have multiple different other applications also come into picture. So we have crop monitoring, health monitoring, crop insurance assessment using drones. We have irrigation management, pesticide spraying, liquid fertilizer spraying, micronutrient spraying, seed dispersal, granular fertilizer dispersal. All of this being done through drones today. And trust me, when I started doing proof of concepts for farmers across the country, it began in the later part of 2020, right after the COVID lockdown was initiated. You all remember the reverse migration that happened. The large chunk of laborers who went back to their home states were farm laborers. And this created a huge stress amongst farmers in South India. And labor was becoming very difficult to get for sowing, for spraying, and for harvesting. So we could solve one major problem was spraying, because that was the larger activity. And labor cost went really high. So what was being this daily labor charge for somebody who sprays anywhere between 350 to 500 rupees. It went to 1,500 at some locations. And even though you were willing to pay, the problem was that they were not really available. So that way your crop cycle would take a hit. And then they were able to only do maximum 3 to 4 acres a day. And then we got our drones, and I started doing proof of concept. So we did 45 acres. With the present tech we are able to do 45 acres a day. And generally, if you are from an agrarian family, you will know you use about 180 to 250 liters of water per acre. We brought that number down to 10 liters. There was almost a saving of 190 to 230 liters of water. That's a huge saving, and for places which is drought hit, that's even better. And what we could also achieve is even distribution. So when they do spray with the knapsack sprayer manually, it's very random spraying, and we could achieve even distribution. And this entire process was autonomous. So nobody is walking in the field flying the drones. The drone flies itself after we mark the boundaries, and that way nobody is inhaling. If you would have seen in the rural parts of different states when they are spraying, the only minimum thing that they would be covering their mouth and nose with is a towel, which would generally be porous. Now, because of that, people come up with lung issues, kidney problem, eyesight issues. They have skin diseases leading to skin cancer at some point of time. And this has been a very large problem. Globally, 660 million USD is spent for cancer treatment related to pesticide inhalation and exposure. So that's the amount of money that's being spent. Now in India also, if somebody is able to spend that money, that's fine. If they are not able to, death is their only fate. Now to solve this, we brought in, when I was at Garuda, we brought in drones that could do it, and we could do 45 acres with one drone in one day, operating for 6 hours. And this was a huge impact that got created. Now, because of that, there's a large demand that's there in that segment as well. And then if you're looking to build a business model out of it, is the best place to be. Agriculture will be the largest industry for usage of drones. So let's take a look at a few of these applications. We have some videos lined up. Let's take a look at it. Please play the videos. So this is XAG, world leader in IoT and drone agricultural drones. They have an entire suite of offerings that they have. If you have, once this webinar is over, you can take a look at their website. Let's take a look at another application in agriculture. Next slide, please. So you must be wondering, what are these colorful images? Now this is called multispectral analysis. So the camera or the sensor that is used captures images in different spectrums of the electromagnetic radiation. So you have the RGB in the visual range, the red, green and blue. And then you have the infrared and near infrared regions. Now what this does is, so we see the visual spectrum, right? We cannot see both in ultraviolet or infrared regions. Now, but other animals can. That's how they work their way, like how bees can see UV spectrum and all of that. Now, every plant emits different radiation when it is under different types of stresses. So this study is done through agricultural universities, and they have these data sets. So when we map and then we get these different readings or different data sets in different spectrums, we compare it with the existing data set that the university has. Now, let's say there's a lot of stress as shown by an infrared image. Then we know that's definitely something to do with water stress. Either there's too much water or too less water, and then irrigation has to be managed accordingly. And plant will also show a difference in the RGB spectrum when it has pest attack or some infection. Based on what type of color ranges are there, you compare it with a regular template and then see what might be that infection, because a plant can only get definite amounts of infection. It's not prone to all types of infections. So be it bacteria or be it fungal or be it a pest attack, you will be able to understand. So this way what happens is, it is not too late before you save the crop, because every time you see the crop, it will look green. The decoloration happens only when it's at the end stage of the problem, but by then it's very difficult to save the crop. But using multispectral analysis, you can see it earlier. That way you can save the crop and then increase yield as well. Next slide, please. So that's in the agricultural space. Now let's take a look at civil engineering. Now, civil engineering has been progressing very drastically, with structures almost reaching the sky, and a lot of these technology has now become site specific and site dependent. So even prefabs or prefabricated parts for a lot of things are done at the site, and then monitoring these assets becomes a very important thing. Apart from that, you have large scale construction corporations having multiple projects across the country or across the planet. So how do you monitor this? This is the progress monitor of construction is also something that is very important. And sending people out, having a manual description written, taking some photos doesn't cut it out. So you use drones for that. How do you create maps for surveying that are as accurate as 5 centimeter per pixel or even lesser? Now, with that, you will be able to do much more. Let's say manual surveying, you cannot do a lot in a day. Maybe 3, 4 or 2, 3 square kilometers would be a big hassle. A drone can go up to 8 square kilometers a day of mapping land, and that's a phenomenal achievement. And consider terrains like mountains, forests, where it is so riskier to go and do these surveys. That is why India has not fully been surveyed till date, and that's a problem. So this is being solved by drones. And recently, I'm under the Prime Minister's office with the Ministry of Panchayat Raj and the Survey of India, Swamvitva scheme has been announced, where they are mapping villages to provide digital land records using which you can avail loans. This was not done before, and all the documents would generally be with the Gram Panchayat, and it is easily tamperable, and using those documents, banks would generally hesitate to give loans. But today, with digital records, people will be able to avail loans and then start rural enterprises, and that will create its own economy. So, and also, let's say long bridges. Initially, to do inspections of those, you would need somebody tethered down. They would be suspended at a height. Accessibility to places would be very minimal, and this was a problem. Today, with drones, all of that is changing. So let us take a look at how it's happened. Next slide, please.
So we can see a live feed of the photos that it's taking here. The drone is moving along this path here. And if at any point I need to take control, I can hit the switch here to a different mode and then manually pilot it back. Just for safety, I do need to keep an eye on it, make sure nobody gets underneath it. It's going 28 miles an hour now. All right, and that wraps it up, and I guess it'll probably, yeah, so now it'll draw a line back to the return point where it started.
The entire process is autonomous.
The drone will automatically land roughly where it took off. That was pretty close to the tree. But sometimes it lands 10 or 15 feet away. Ah, shit, I'm gonna have to take control. Be sure you take off from a big, flat area. It doesn't need to be in the area you're photographing. Using your computer's memory card reader, upload your images to dronedeploy.com. Then wait a few hours while they process it. When your map is ready, Drone Deploy shows your higher quality 2D map overlaid on satellite maps. Click 3D and then double-click the middle of the map to make it easier to navigate. Drag your mouse to rotate it, or hold the Shift key while dragging to move the mouse around. Use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. There are some settings you can adjust to see more about how the model was built. Gradual elevation shift should look great, but the sides of buildings will look like a melting nightmare. Flying your drone lower improves the quality, so change the elevation. But if you want to get the best quality for buildings, manually fly your drone after you've done the Drone Deploy automated routine, and take dozens or hundreds of lower altitude pictures with the camera angled diagonally rather than pointing straight down. If Drone Deploy flies it at 200 or 300 feet, you want to come down lower, like 100 feet, 50 feet, even like 25 feet, and tilt the camera more towards the building so you can see the side of the building. Then just move it to the side and rotate around the building and snap lots and lots of overlapping pictures at different altitudes and different angles. You can use the orbit feature in the DJI Go app to circle a building while manually snapping overlapping photos. To get images of this backyard, I kept the device stationary, but rotated it, spun it, slowly while taking photos. Overcast days provide soft, even light without hard shadows, and generally make the best 3D models. If you must fly on a cloudless day, fly when the sun is high in the sky to minimize shadows. If Drone Deploy can see the bottom of a body of water, it will be able to map the depth. You can use that model to calculate the volume and depth of a pool or lake. You have to subscribe to the higher level option at Drone Deploy, so you have to pay a little.
So here you could see how easy it is to build a 3D map, right? And also the most important part was how you could calculate volume. So if you had to calculate volume of that swimming pool, it would have been very difficult. But then with oblique photos and a higher density of photographs taken over that area, you can actually calculate volume. So that's a space where it has been helping the mining companies to do that. We will see that later. And to map an area of 1 square kilometer just takes roughly an hour. So 1 square kilometer is roughly 247 acres, right? Imagine walking through that distance. That would itself take so much time for anybody surveying it. So this is how easy it is to do mapping and survey using drones. And you can learn it in about a day's time. That's how simple it is as well. Next slide, please. So that's one of the most advanced AI-based drones that is available in the market right now. And you see how easily it could inspect a bridge. Now, the best part about this tech is it can reconstruct the 3D model of the bridge while the drone is flying itself. There's no separate post-processing software that you will require. So that's another advantage. And you could see, and since it has AI-based obstacle avoidance, it can fly through all the gaps in the bridges and then thus generating a very detailed 3D image of the bridge, which the engineers later can use to see how the structural integrity of the bridge is holding up. So, and this is fully autonomous. You just mark the boundaries of the bridge using the drone. That is the manual part. And after that, the drone flies itself. And you can just wait on the side having tea or coffee, and the drone will do all the work and come back. Earlier, if this has to be done, then the bridge had to be closed, and either they had to do at very early in the morning or in the late evenings, which would be hazardous, and all of that headache was there. Now it's absolutely possible to do in its normal conditions itself. Next slide.
The Ariane Scout is a quad rotor. I just click on the map telling it where I want it to go and it'll just go there. I have the ability to create a target for the camera to look at. If I fly around in a circle, it'll keep that target in the camera at all times.
The way our software works is it's using the similar techniques that humans use when they use their two eyes to perceive their world in 3D. But instead of using only 2 eyes or 2 cameras, we are using thousands of images captured by a drone to combine these all together to have a consistent 3D model.
So here you see how easy it is to create 3D models of large structures. Now, very simple example, if there are architecture students, let's say you want to create a replica of any existing archaeological sites or any important monument, right? You just fly the drone, get the entire 3D model as accurate as possible, and then 3D print it. That's how simple it becomes. So that way you can produce faster replicas. And if you're able to get drones like Skydio and then fly them inside those buildings, you will be able to build or print the model both from the internal perspective and the external perspective. That's in itself a whole new business together. And this proves effective for you can do it in that entire the statue of Jesus would have been done in a day's time, and then they would have finished processing in another day's time. And then if you have to replicate it, depending upon what size model you want to build, that printing time will be included. So otherwise, building that entire structure would take a lot of time, getting the same amount of detailing going into it. So this is another use case of drones and 3D mapping in the construction and architecture industry. Next slide, please. Oil and gas, their biggest challenges is monitoring the pipes, monitoring assets that extract these gases and crude oil. And also, if you remember, there was a drone strike at Aramco plant in the Aramco plant that is run by the Saudi company, right? Now, all of this needs support. If there's a fire, you will need support, and you will need to maintain your infrastructure and keep it under all the norms that is prescribed for safety. Otherwise, you will have a very big catastrophe on your hand. And then drones are making this possible. So when I was in Garuda, we've created India's first contact-based inspection drone for ultrasonic thickness testing of metal surfaces. So you could get metal thickness even though it would be coated by either a protective layer or even rust. You will get the exact thickness to the accuracy of 0.1 mm. That way, drones have really transformed, because generally to inspect a chimney would take 3 to 4 days. And all those 4 days, the plant had to be shut down. And you had to build supporting structure to climb and then do the inspection. This is all a hassle. We brought down what would take 4 or 5 days to under 4 hours using drones. And that's the efficiency. And then this data is more accurate. You get high resolution images from all angles. And 3D reconstruction of your chimney for better understanding of where the problem lies can also be done. So this really transformed the industry, and in oil and gas, though, it is definitely making a lot of impact. Let's take a look at the applications.
The big differentiator is that they've integrated it into one package. The data is stored on the UAV, so you can easily download it once you're on the ground. So once we land, we can Bluetooth the data down in literally less than a minute, bring it into a separate app on the same tablet and view it and review it, make sure we've got everything that we need. And then we can also drag it out into some other type of GIS database like Google Earth. You use the MD Viewer app to import the data, downloads the CSV file, and you can take that tablet back to the office, and it can't get any easier than that. The Microdrones M Detector 1000 series, you're able to not only map out the data that has been collected from the UAV after the fact, but also see real-time what the drone is viewing. So you can see a first-person view of what the sensor is looking at if you're flying over a pipeline to ensure you're staying over that pipeline, as well as the parts per million in methane gas that it's detecting at that point. So if you start to see that you're detecting gas in a certain area, you can stop the waypoint mission and actually fly over that area to kind of pinpoint where that methane gas leak is coming from.
It turned it from going back to the office and doing a bunch of filters and sorts in Excel to you can analyze the data right out here in the field.
So this is methane gas detection. Methane is hazardous, and today they're using drones to detect these gases. You also have other spectrum analyzers that could help you understand other exhaust gases in these industries. Now, the problem generally is putting a human in such a situation will require industrial masks and all the PPE kits that will come along with it. But now with drones, humans can be at a safer distance and then have the drone fly over these regions. And as you see, it's a very simple process of how they could get data at the location itself rather than coming back to their offices and then running a bunch of processes. This way, it's transforming how quickly even the result is available to the client, and that reduces the time required for taking action. And drones are doing a big favor in that sector. Next slide, please. So here you could see how they are inspecting for leaks and accumulations in pipelines. What you saw was a radiometric thermal camera being used, which can detect temperatures real time. The other beautiful part about this technology is when you're doing this, if you have an LTE connection, you will be able to transmit this data that is being captured real time to a centralized command center or to the head office of the client where they could view it live. right? If it's a very crucial asset, and if somebody higher up in the management would like to know what really is happening, you could do this live transmission, and they really don't have to wait for the data to be shipped to that location. So that's another advantage of using drones, and with high-speed internet, it has really transformed how fast you can access those data sets. Next slide, please.
Introducing the Sky
This is an
Gauge,
interesting
the
application.
unmanned system
What I was
designed for both
talking about
visual
ultrasonic
and wall thickness inspection. Using the Sky Gauge, workers stay on the ground while the drone performs inspections in hazardous locations. Stability is fundamental for collecting thickness data because the inspection requires precise contact with the surface in predetermined locations. The Sky Gauge is uniquely suited for this by reinventing how drones fly. It features a stable frame by tilting the rotors to control the aircraft. Flying near structures creates strong air turbulence. The tilting rotors instantaneously correct for turbulence, wind, and gusts to maintain precise contact. If a single data point is not enough, the Sky Gauge is able to perform a continuous linear scan. The Sky Gauge can hover at any angle with the tilting rotor design. This is ideal for inspecting sloped or curved surfaces. But most of all, the Sky Gauge is a multi-purpose tool for inspectors. Attach a wire brush for cleaning inspection surfaces, angle beam probe for weld inspections, or phased array probe for corrosion mapping. The Sky Gauge is a revolutionary drone for any inspection. Improve worker safety, reduce downtime, and minimize cost. Discover what the Sky Gauge can do for you and your inspection teams.
So this is a really interesting drone, even with the way how it is built. But then the applications that you can achieve with it is very useful. Now, one is ultrasonic thickness testing, as I was talking. Then you could do weld inspections. Then you could do a continuous inspection on different types of surfaces. It need not be only straight; it can also be curved, right? And all of this in a very short span of time. Maybe when there is a downtime on a Sunday, or on an annual monthly maintenance day, you can just go this, get all that data, and then give them report. That way, the factory owners are always aware of what is the structural integrity of the infrastructure that they have, and it happens at a fraction of a cost. So when I did this project for Godrej, the cost for them came down almost by 10 times. So that's the advantage drones provide, both in terms of technology, accessibility, and economics. Next slide, please.
Introducing the
So energy and utilities in the industrial segment is what drones are maximum used for. Different inspections, thermal, visual, inspection of the corona discharge in or the electrical discharge in electrical high tension electrical infrastructure, mapping, and many more, right? And because today we are moving to renewable energies on a very large scale, consistent monitoring is very important to have them run at optimal conditions. And for this, drones have come very handy in nature, and provide precise data for the use of maintenance engineers. So let us take a look at each application.
Jagged mountainous terrain and abundant hydroelectric power in China's Yunnan province makes power line networks hard to inspect manually.
线路和电塔主要都架设在山上，交通非常的不便，环境也比较艰苦。以前我们进行人工巡检的时候，一天只能检查1-2基塔，用无人机以后，效率提升了大约10倍左右。
Reliability and security are the first things to consider when choosing a drone to carry out electrical inspections. The new Matrice 210 RTK includes a built-in DRTK system to withstand electromagnetic interference and reliably hover around power lines and pylons. Although the RTK system assists with flying close to power lines, inexperienced pilots still need to be cautious when at this distance.
我们在使用普通航拍无人机的时候，需要离电塔特别近才能看见细节，而且操作要非常小心。
Mission safety can be increased significantly if mounting the ZenMuse Z30 camera on the Matrice 210. This adds 30 times optical zoom, allowing you to inspect minute details from 10 meters away. To identify all potential issues, inspectors must use visual and thermal imaging. With the Matrice 210 models, pilots can now fly 2 cameras at the same time and switch between visual or thermal imaging in real time to identify and locate faults. This dual gimbal configuration decreases the time needed to inspect one pylon to only 10 to 15 minutes. With multiple intelligent features and a new dual gimbal system, the Matrice 210 is a reliable and convenient tool for powerline inspection teams. It eliminates the need for dangerous inspection practices and significantly improves project turnaround times.
Anyways, this is DJI, the world's largest drone company. And here you can see how easy it is to inspect those lines, those towers in a hilly province as well. And previously, they would have hired a helicopter to do it, or people would have manually climbed up to do which, both of which either is risky or too expensive. And today, drones are doing it much safer and at a fraction of the cost. Next video, please. So the dark pink spots that you see are all damaged solar cells. It will never be visible to the naked eye. You need a thermal inspection to get that right. Yeah, so this is thermal imaging for solar panel inspection. With this, you can find out diode failure, you can find out string failure, and then you can also find out, because bird dropping is also a huge problem, because of which efficiency drops over these panels. And with high resolution cameras, you can also pinpoint. And how we pinpoint is each photograph is geotagged. It has its own lat and long details along with it. Based on that, you can say it is exactly at this location. So drone inspection of thermal power plant. Let's take a look at this. This is also called GPS denied area inspection for inside boilers and chimneys. So here the drone is in a cage, and it's just 40 centimeter in diameter, including the cage, and it can go through nooks and openings that it would generally be difficult for a human being to go through. And it's safe. Nobody is put in hazardous way, harm's way. You saw the amount of ash that was there in that location. So that way, drones have been helping and transforming the way we inspect GPS denied areas or internal components of boilers and chimneys and stacks. Next slide. Mining is another segment that is utilizing drones in a very large way. One is volumetric analysis or stockpile management. Second is building maps of the mines itself using drones and LiDAR. Assessment of quantity of ore before and after blasting. And if you have dangerous gases coming out, as we saw earlier, even that gas detection is being done through a drone. So let's take a look at it. So here you could see the 3D reconstruction of the mining area that is being done by the drone. So the drone has mapped the area, and based on that, you can see the extent to which the map has been developed, and you will be able to understand volume of ore even extracted based on this. And this way, one person really does not need to step into the mining zone. You could actually stand away from the mining zone and then map the entire thing. So workplace accidents are also avoided because of this, because having surveyors come into the mining zone and all of that might always be a challenge, because they might not generally be used to such things. So using that is, using drones makes it a lot more simpler. Next slide, please. So here you saw a cave-in that has happened, and because of that, they've used the drone to go and assess the damage. Otherwise, if you send somebody, there might be a second cave-in and more people might die. And this way, drones are a safer bet to understand how inspection inside mines, to inspect inside mines. Next slide, please. So logistics, yes, drone-based delivery is going to start in India. 20 consortiums are already working in it, and NOTAMs have been issued for Bangalore or surroundings of Bangalore for medical delivery. And this is going to be one of the biggest markets after agriculture industry and industrial inspections. And initially it will start off with medicine delivery and of that kind, and later move to getting your pizza to your home. That will take some more time, because that will also, your infrastructure in terms of your buildings and all your wires and all of that needs to undergo change. So that's going to take some time. But definitely transport of life-saving drugs to remote areas will be the first thing that drone logistics takes care of. So let's take a look at that.
DHL have done it again. They've entered into a strategic partnership with EHang to develop a fully automated and intelligent smart drone delivery solution to tackle last-mile delivery challenges in urban areas of China. The launch ceremony was held today at the EHang Command and Control Center in Guangzhou. With the attendance of senior executives from both companies, this cutting-edge solution takes its inaugural flight for a DHL customer, making DHL the first international express company to provide such a service in China. Comes as no surprise that the launch pad is situated in between some fast chargers for electric vehicles, and I think we'd like to see what's inside that box for the magic packet goes into one space and then gets put into the RPads. But that's neither here nor there. The new customized route, which has been exclusively created for a DHL customer, covers a distance of approximately 8 kilometers between the customer premises and the DHL service center, using the most advanced unmanned aerial vehicle in EHang's newly launched Falcon series, featuring the highest level of intelligence, automation, safety and reliability. The new intelligent drone delivery solution overcomes the complex road conditions and traffic congestion common to urban areas. It reduces one-way delivery time from 40 minutes to only 8 minutes and can save costs of up to 80% per delivery with reduced energy consumption and carbon.
You can imagine having these drone docking stations at your apartment complexes, where food or smaller packages within 5 kgs can come and be delivered. So, and then if you remember, the bot that looks like a dog from Boston Dynamics can actually pick up that parcel and then come right up to your house and deliver. So this automation is happening, and it's not too distant into the future that we will see this going on. Drone-based inventory management is another interesting place where they use drones to read barcode and assess what inventory is available at warehouses. Let's take a look at that.
Because of development such as e-commerce and Industry 4.0, flexibility is important in all parts of the supply chain. This also includes warehouses. Specifically, our customers expect that we can give them an accurate and up-to-date stock level at any moment. And the inventory enables us to provide it. But that requires a lot of man hours. It's a high-risk job because most parts of the pallet are located on the highest location, and there is always a chance to do a mistake. That's why we came up with the idea to automatize our stock taking with the help of a drone.
Dus binnen het project ontwikkelden we een drone die autonoom door het rekken kan vliegen om zo de voorraad te controleren. Dat kan door bijvoorbeeld elke nacht de RFID-tags of QR-codes uit te lezen. Maar daartoe moesten we heel wat technologische innovaties combineren, samen met onze onderzoekspartner van de SMEEK en verschillende industriële partners. En voor de navigatie van de drone gebruiken we sensorfusie. Daarbij worden verschillende localisatie-inputs, zoals beelden, ultrawarmtechnologie, accelerometer en gyroscoop gecombineerd, zodat de drone autonoom een pad kan bepalen tussen de rekken door. Voor de RFID-tags en QR-codes ontwikkelden we nieuwe technologieën om deze te detecteren en een positie ten opzichte van de drone te bepalen. En we ontwikkelden een landingsplatform waar de drone autonoom kan landen, wordt opgeladen met inductie en terug kan vertrekken. En dit alles combineerden we in één compacte drone.
The great thing about a cooperative research project such as iMakeIcon is that all partners benefit from it. At iLogistic, we are already looking at how we can integrate this solution in our activities. The other companies are looking into the possibility of commercialization of their innovation. In this way, InWare Drone strengthens the leading position of the Flemish logistics sector within Europe.
So here you could see how easy it becomes to do inventory management rather than having to climb up and down and then using a barcode scanner actually do it manually. Next slide, please. So that's about the presentation. We've tried to keep it short, even though we are enthusiastic about telling more about this. It's too wide. Drones have 200 applications, and a majority of them is in this segment. But we've kept it to what is most popular. That will also help build a business case in case somebody wants to have a startup or wants to start a career in this segment. So in 2019, I started JMA with the sole purpose of being able to help other drone companies scale up and make India one of the most advanced places for drone tech. And we've been doing that with on multiple fronts. Garuda Aerospace was the first project that we took up, and then we did a lot of activity for them and then helped them scale on a very large level within 9 months span of time. Next slide. So we offer multitude of services, the advanced drone pilot training being one of them, and where we train UAV pilots for the industry. It's a 25-day program, 20 days on field. Then we have soft skills training, and we also provide specialized training in agriculture, mapping, survey, and cinematography. Then we also provide aerospace consultation for skilled personnel, brand consultation, market analysis, government liaising, investments, and so on. And we also have a private RC flying field for all the aero modeling enthusiasts in Bangalore at Hoskote. If any of you are an aero modeler, you could always come and join us flying there. Next slide. So this is the advanced drone pilot training program that I was talking about. This is primarily focused on getting people placed as drone pilots in the industry. And whoever is looking there to make your entry into the drone segment can always take up this course. We are not a licensing organization. We are a training organization though. And we make sure that you're industry ready before you graduate. Next slide, please. So the Flight 100 program is something that I've been building, a pet project of mine, where we will train 100 entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs from across the globe to build 100 drone startups, be it manufacturing companies, service providers, part manufacturers, software development for the drones, or payload development. So I'm looking to build those 100 entrepreneurs to make sure that we sustain and grow very rapidly in this segment, because this is going to be a very mass technology kind of space that can help a lot of people. And with that vision, I am building this 45-day program. After 45 days, there will be another 1 year of support that we will provide to make sure you reach your first $1 million revenue in the first year itself. And most importantly, we will train on all aspects of business. Unfortunately, engineers come with only engineering knowledge, and business MBA grads come with business knowledge. You need to fuse both of this and make sure you have the entrepreneur outlook rather than just trying to make a quick buck. You need to be able to develop something. So that's what we're looking at building in the Flight 100 program. If you're interested, you can always give your consent in the feedback form, and our team will get back to you before the program starts. So that's it. Next slide. So this is my famous quote. I think every day this is being proved right, and I'm very happy about it. Next slide. That's the end. Please follow us on social media sites. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Insta, where we keep posting about the newer drone tech that is coming into space, as well as our other programs that we take up, the talks that we will also have with other CEOs from drone, who are drone manufacturers, service providers, who are also part of the drone consortium in India doing drone delivery. We will have those talks coming up it'll be really interesting, and then you will also be able to get first-hand experience from the people who are actually executing those segments in the field, and that might really turn your life. So that's about it. You can always reach us out on the email address and the phone number provided. I would like to thank the management, the staff for providing this opportunity, especially John sir, for the opportunity to be able to talk to the students and share whatever little knowledge I have about the industry, and something that I'm very passionate about. We'll take questions now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leo, for eye-opener for the talk. I hope many of us learned many new things from this wonderful session. Thank you so much, sir. Friends, the floor is open for questions. Please feel free to ask questions. Either you can ask here or you can chat in a chat box. Can it be, sir?
Yes, yes, yes. So you can, if you're unmuting yourself, please state your name before you ask a question, or you can always put your questions in the chat box as well.
They can raise the hand also.
Yeah.
Friends, any questions you have?
Somebody has tell us about aerostat drone. You would need to be more specific in your question as to what you would exactly want to know. Based on that, I would be able to tell, because there are a lot of technical aspects to that drone as well.
We have a question from Mr. Guru, and he says, how many days will it take to build a drone?
Depends on what drone you're building. If you, let's say you're a first timer and then you want to build something as simple as an F450 frame, which you should start off with, it take you about 2 days time, and another to build depending on your soldering skills and how well you've done your homework before you start building it. If it's something else specific to an application, anywhere between 6 months to 8 years, depending on what application you're working with, and then what is the enormity of the technology that is going to be involved in it. But for a simple drone, it should not take you more than 2 days. Yes, sir.
Leo, I'm Neeraj Bhattaga from Delhi.
Yes, Mr.
I'm in business consulting. We do a lot of research work, industrial research work for the oil and gas sector. And thinking, lately to how to conduct a survey of a district to, to map all the industries located in those areas. So I was anyway thinking of getting into the drone thing, to get somebody to do this job for us, or maybe set up a small company in Delhi where we can conduct, let's say, this research work of, let's say, entire district, for example, Mysore or, Tumkur or any other place, or so that, we can map out all the industry locations and the roads over there, and that is what actually. So I don't know how you can help us out in doing this job actually out. Maybe either you do it for us, or maybe help us setting up a small project in Delhi. And that's, I'm a Rotarian also, for the last 32 years. So into Rotary and social service activities also at the same time.
No worries, no worries. I'm a dual member holder as well. I'm a Rotarian and a Rotractor.
All right, great.
So we can definitely do that. So there are multiple technologies available. I can, so if you want to set up a business, we can help you with that, and then connect you with technology providers who will be able to either provide drone as a service, or you could buy drones yourself and do it. That's always an option that is available. Or if you're looking at manned aircraft platforms that could do this for you, that is also possible.
Okay.
I consult for both the segments.
All right.
And it's very much possible. You could get accuracies as close to as 2.5 centimeters per pixel. And
wow. Okay.
That is not even possible with your total station at some point of time.
Yeah. Someone like my clients are all, all the gas companies in India, all the companies like, like GAIL and all these people are my clients. So we work with them for the demand assessment and for doing the feasibility studies and planning the network, pipeline network, actually. That's what I do. And so I think, maybe going up on the services to be offered to the clients. So I thought maybe I'll talk to you regarding this. I don't know, we can share your number with me.
I've shared my number on the chat. You could give me a buzz when you're related.
I'll do that to you and see how we can go ahead with this whole.
Sure, definitely, sir. Glad to help always.
And it was wonderful. I enjoyed it actually, and I shared it with a lot of people in the gas sector. Also shared your file with everybody out. All the CEOs of the gas companies have sent them your profile to them. Already have done it.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, nice talking to you. It was very nice, very interesting.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you.
All right, God bless.
Yeah, good morning. This is Malik here.
Yeah, hello.
I'm from Y Technovation Limited company. We are into pesticide spraying 25 kg payload drones. In fact, with a lot of excitement, 2 years back, we started this company and we went ahead in manufacturing 25 drones and we kept ready. Later with the DGCA guidelines and NPNT issues and all those things, we got stuck there and we invested a lot of money and efforts. Then little bit we are struck because NPNT got delayed and we applied for it and we fulfilled all the things and again COVID came into the picture and it's going on. But what I would like to say is, we are struck with a lot of assets and drones ready to fly and tested and we did actually spraying for almost around 2,000 acres in Karnataka for Renuka Sugars and all those peoples and we are done.
Mm-hmm.
We are also into equipment rental business for agriculture equipment. Okay. But I need some kind of help or hand-holding or to take the company to further level, some enthusiastic, maybe an entrepreneurs and not necessary to be an investors and they can be a part of it, we don't mind. But how to take it ahead and I need if anybody interested in partnering it or take the company ahead because we are into various other business. With the excitement, what we started, the same excitement doesn't exist for various reasons. Okay, but we have a asset ready and around 20 drones in hand ready. So I just need help or maybe some kind of support from any interested entrepreneurs in the team or from your side. Just want to put a words across them.
Oh, you called at the right time, sir. I have been doing this for one fertilizer company and then they wanted drones. So I think the marriage is made.
Okay, good.
So I'll get back to you, sir. My staff will make note of your number. They'll reach out to you and we'll have a meeting set up. We'll definitely help because agriculture needs drones at this point of time. Unfortunately, there are a lot of hassles. I also consult with the GKVK, University of Agricultural Sciences, GKVK.
Yes.
So we will
and in
work
fact,
with
we supplied a lot of drones to what you're talking about, multispectral camera drones to Raichur University and also spraying drones to Raichur University we supplied. Okay, and we have drones placed, one in Delhi, 25 kg payloads, sprayer drones, one in Sinur, one in Ballari, one in Chitradurga, one in Bangalore. In fact, in our office, along with our agriculture equipment, that is not gaining importance there. Okay, so we treat it like any other equipment because we are a manufacturer of agriculture equipment. Okay, anyway, just hope to
sure,
keep in
sir.
touch.
We'll reach out to you and then we'll get that sorted.
In case if you need my number, I can spell it out or maybe I'll put in the chat.
I think it's there on the chat.
Correct. Yeah, I already put it, sir. Yeah, 984525.
I have one question. What is required in this?
Sorry?
What is the permission required in this? Suppose you want to conduct a survey of a particular state or a district for the number of industries around there.
So one of the government departments will have to take lead. Aerial mapping is now liberalized. We don't have to go to the Ministry of Defense to get permission, but some amount of permissions are required. If we could talk to the revenue department and then they could give, since oil and gas will always have a lot of connections within the government. So you take permission, I think class 1 gazetted officer will have to be like an in charge, and Ministry of Civil Aviation will give exemption.
All right. Okay.
We can help you draft all of that, letters and everything. That's not an issue.
Awesome, Leo.
And our Joint Secretary, Mr. Amber Dubey, is very much favoring he's Joint Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation, very much favoring all this newer technology. The Secretary of MOCA is IAS cadre from Karnataka, Mr. Karola, and he is also very much favoring all this newer technology coming in. So they're very open to having such experiments done.
One of the best thing that can be done is to map out the deforestation of a particular district, and what sort of environment inputs are required for a particular district or a state, by seeing how much deforestation is happening, what are the places that trees can be planted out. I think this could be a very, very major thing that could happen.
Yes, sir. With our technology, we can actually count the number of trees that are there in the district.
Wow. Okay. All right.
We can tell you these many trees are there, and this is the exact count of trees in your entire district. And based on the type of plant that we can, or tree that we can identify, we can also talk about oxygen output of each tree and then say, this is what it is. You need to push it to this, and that's how it's going to be.
Fantastic. What we could do is, I could apply to the Matching Ground Rotary Foundation for some money for this, and maybe let's see. Can you give me a quote for doing the mapping of the trees and the oxygen output of the Delhi region?
I'll have to work it out based on the area that we will need to work on, sir.
Let's say Delhi area, for example, or maybe per square kilometer.
Delhi is the most difficult place to get permissions for. Any other district or state will be better. So it depends on the data analytics that is involved and the time of processing that is involved and how many systems we will have to fly if you're doing a manned aircraft. So generally drone does 1 square kilometer an hour. If we do it same on the manned aircraft, it will be 1,500 square kilometers an hour. That's the data we can acquire. So I will have to basically see understand the area, and based on that we will have to decide what platform to use.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatnagar, for joining from Delhi all the way and being part of our campus webinar today. It's so nice to see you. Rotary definitely connects.
My pleasure. Absolutely. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yes. I would also want to put on record and thank our students from Don Bosco Institute of Technology. We have students from Ambedkar Institute of Technology and Sheshadripuram also here today. And of course, all of them would have loved, like our students who have been here, Mr. Leo. Yes. I think it was a fascinating talk. And before I would maybe conclude, give my word of thanks, we have Dr. Suresh here, our HOD from Mechanical Engineering, who may want to just give us the concluding remarks, and then I'll do my word of thanks.
Sure.
What to you, Suresh, sir?
Yeah, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Very good morning, Leo. You have gone to the new galaxy. You made us to travel to the new galaxy of the technology. Really, heads up to you.
Thank you.
So nice to see this, what is there in the world, because as academician, we are limited to our book knowledge only, not more than this. So you took us to a different world, but so interesting, and the application part of this is so nice. Small curiosity, I would like to clarify with you. Is it used in the nuclear technology?
Yes, sir. You can have the eigen counter attached to the drone and fly at sites where there might be a potential leak.
Okay, nice, very nice. Because all fields you have touched except this, I was wondering, right? And as one of the audience suggested, actually the forest encroachment is a big issue in our the entire country or some parts. That can be really as he suggested, no, as you are told, counting of number of trees, that statistic should be there very frequently, so that the encroachment, this ecological imbalances can be avoided. I think your technology is going to, I think, help the long range. One thing. Then second, I think for the prospective students who are coming from the engineering institutions, taking this as a career, I hope. Is there any specific advice from your side so that our students or any engineering graduate or MBA graduates can easily get into this?
Yes, sir. So one is, since it's a business, it needs all forms of people to run it. Majorly, drone pilots are required. So any fresher that I place in the companies, they draw anywhere between 23 to 25,000 rupees plus their food, stay, logistics, all of it taken care of. So that's one advantage for as an entry level position. Apart from this, you need designers, you need system integrators, you need avionics specialists, you need chemical engineers for battery management and then battery enhancement, and you will need software engineers to build your ground control software and other post-processing softwares. So the program is booming. The Swamvitva project that I mentioned of the Ministry of Panchayat Raj and Survey of India, 936 crores, I think, has been allotted for that project. And they are looking to deploy 2,500 systems. That is employment for 5,000 people. And this is going to be a recurring process once in every 3 years. And that way itself, people to fly systems, do post-processing, do analytics, to be able to build softwares which will front end with the land owners, and all of that needs a lot of people. And that way, being in this segment will give more exposure to budding graduates for them to move into a non-IT segment, I would say. Because end of the day, a large portion of the employment here in Bangalore is in the IT segment. But today, that is being changed. And that will definitely make entering into the course industry itself possible.
So nice.
And one more information is Japanese companies are looking to 10 million USD for manufacturing drones in India. I was in conversation with the Japanese consulate and the drone companies in Japan through PwC. This was a very huge announcement, and I am looking forward to it. And that will itself create so much employment. Drone is going to be the next big thing. We missed the aerospace wave because of the large capital investment the government of India had to do. But we will definitely not miss the drone wave that is on its way.
Okay, so nice, really. So, including some people who are already entrepreneurs in this field and budding engineers. So it is a really good talk. So that I would like to, on behalf of the institution, right, just would like to put my concluding remarks and thanks for this. Thank you. Over to John.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful reflection on the session. Now let me request Professor John Bureau of our placement head to propose a vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Arshita. And on the outset, Leo, I think you took us to a different world, like Dr. Suresh just said. Thank you so much. This is invaluable. This is precious for all those young graduates who are there today, listening to you, looking at you, and all the things that you told us and showed us. It took us to a different world. This event wouldn't have been possible without your consent. I mean, your precious time that you spare from your time in the business and in industry. I know it very well, Leo. I know how you work. How difficult it is to even get your appointments sometimes or dates. I think our students are really fortunate listening to you here today. And hats off to your team. I think my sincere gratitude to each one of them. It is Kanis, it is Ritesh, and all of them, who have been coordinating this event so beautifully for the last 1 week. And this is a lesson for all of our students here. Even in an event management, if it has to be done this way, and the coordination, the communication that has come has been great takeaways for my students here today. And also to all our faculty coordinators who who ensured our students attend today. I should tell you, Mr. Leo, that a few students had to log into another webinar today that was actually scheduled around 10 o'clock. Otherwise, all of them, I know, would be regretting the last part of your, summing up and the great avenues that are coming up in the drone industries. Thank you to each one of you. I would definitely want to take their names also here. The coordinators, Professor Nagappa, we have Professor Abhishek, Professor Prasanna from CS, then we have Prithvik, and also from our the HOD of MBA department, who had our students motivated to attend this program today. A big thank you to our HODs, each one of you, Kumar sir, Viresh, Suresh sir, and Sharda ma'am, Santosh sir also for having sent our students here. And finally, my student champs who are the MC for today, the one who also introduced, that is Harshita, and Preeti, who introduced our speaker for the day. I think, yeah, we'll look forward to a much bigger program, Mr. Leo. I think our faculty would be definitely want to be trained on this. And of course, we are starting a Rotaract Club. You'll be happy to know this.
Oh, nice.
And we would want to be definitely part of your, afforestation programs. One of the participants today, Mr. Shivkumar, is into spatial things and all, into mapping forests for our Rotary Club in Chitradurga. He's already identified this place for us. And we are thankful to it. Our students and Rotaractors, future Rotaractors, will definitely be part of this project along with you. And if you can help us and guide us on that too. Okay.
Sure, sure.
And yeah, a big thank you to everyone at JMA and AIMS here. See you all soon, friends. We'll be definitely in touch with all of those who participated here. And we'll be contacting you again for our III series, which is the Industry Integrated Interface Speaker Series for the college. That happens every Saturday at 9 a.m. Thank you once again, and have a good day, all of you.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you all. We all look forward to see all in our next sessions of Industry Institute Interface session. Thank you all. Have a great day.
I'd like to, maybe contribute something. I'm into business consulting. I can help the students how to set up an industry project. I can talk on that.
Beautiful, sir. I'll get in touch with you. We definitely have an entrepreneurship development cell, and we'll invite you to speak on this. And thank you so much for volunteering on that.
All right. Okay. Thank you. It was wonderful. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is ours, sir. Thank you once again, all.
All right. Thank you.